election campaign and the specter, the fears about violence, the political ombudsman has said, yes, the political ombudsman, in a statement being reported this morning on Nationwide, the office says it has now scheduled a meeting with the police high command, and it will be touring sections of central Kingston following the incident there on Sunday night, the shooting incident. According to the Office of the Political Ombudsman, it is to tour the area to observe political activity and assess the general atmosphere surrounding electioneering at this time. In that statement last night, the ombudsman, the political ombudsman, says it's appealing to political actors and their supporters to exercise good judgment, responsible conduct, and peaceful political engagement. It says no act of violence, real or perceived, should be tolerated or allowed to interfere with the conduct of free and fair elections. That's a word from the Office of the Political Ombudsman. And that office has to get very active now and proactive, because the political tensions are at a disturbingly high level. And we should all do everything we can to prevent or to head off violence, because the moment you have the one act of violence, then you're going to have an increased probability that people are going to react. And then we get into a cycle that becomes uncontrollable. And we don't want that. Yeah? Don't want that at all. All right, 22 minutes after 10 o'clock. I see where a councillor of the Manchester Municipal Corporation, the PNP's Mario Mitchell, is apologizing for a series of rather derogatory comments he posted online. And, we live in an era now when we have to learn how to conduct ourselves on social media. Especially those of us who are in public life, hold public offices, have public responsibilities and duties. It's a new space. And some people are having to learn the hard way, because in social media, there are many, many risks and rewards. Part of the risk, or some of the risks, have to do with lack of knowledge in how to negotiate that space. 2, unlike traditional media, where there are certain well-established rules and levels of accountability, it's a law of the jungle in social media. And if you're not a wild animal, like some are, then you will be devoured. Yeah? Especially when you come from a generation such as ours, mine, when there are certain rules that you just observe. Yeah? some of those who are on social media now, the loudest, the most vulgar, the most vile, the liars, they play by no such rules. No such rules. And for a number of people in public life, you can be tempted, to respond and to get real bad. But then you have to play the long game. The long wait. Yeah? Because many of them want to draw you out. And they want to draw you out so they can use your response, as a clickbait. Isn't that a term? So they go after you. And then when you respond, then more people. And then people are going to say, can you imagine? That is what so-and-so say? Yeah? And then they get their props. That is their oxygen. Yeah? That is how they breathe. And that is how they get clicks. And they claim how many followers they have. And they try to monetize that like harlots. Yes, harlots. Yeah. So this councillor, Mario Mitchell, apparently in a series of replies to tweets from his account, Mitchell defended the work done on a stretch of road in his division, the Bushmount Road in Banana Ground. And we caution you that you may find some of the comments in this report by Mahiri Stewart offensive.
At 9:14 Saturday night, Mitchell's account posted a photo of a freshly paved roadway with the caption, "New road number 14 since elected." Several users replied to the post, asking about the lack of drains and sidewalks, the apparent thinness of the asphalt, and the unsealed edges. One user asked, quote, "So where are the drains?" End quote. With laughing emojis, the account replied, quote, "Check your mom. Like her, they run deep and wide and to everyone." End quote. Another user commented, quote, "2 weeks and all that gone. Very poorly done." End quote. To which the account replied, quote, "Like your roof." End quote. To the question, quote, "Why is the asphalt so thin?" End quote. Mitchell's account posted, quote, "Go buy tape and take it up with Jesus." End quote. Yet another user posted, quote, "Typical comrade, chaka chaka slapdash work." End quote. The response, quote, "Like your mom bed. I guess you know what to look for and expect." End quote. At 8:50 Sunday morning, Mitchell's account posted another photo of the paved road, this time juxtaposed against one taken before the work was done. The caption read, quote, "Just because the corruption bunch JLP having a meltdown, I'ma post twice." End quote. It was followed by a laughing with tears emoji. Some users took the councillor to task over his comments. One said, quote, "This comment is very disgraceful and you're a family man and representative of the people." End quote. Another said, quote, "Don't forget that it's our tax money that pays you. As an elected official, your utterances are nothing short of disgraceful." End quote. But Mitchell appears unfazed. At 10:42 Monday morning, his account displayed a new post, quote, "Running on me and think I'm gonna stay quiet? You have next guest coming. My freedom of speech right will ensure you get a healthy and hearty SYM." End quote. SYM is the shortened form of a 3-word slur that ends with mother. Mitchell is in his 3rd term as councillor, having first won and secured the division for the PNP in 2016. His profile on X describes him as a father, family man, and philanthropist. Several calls to Mitchell's phone on Monday went unanswered. Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
I have to smile. The editors in this news center, I wonder how long it took them to come up with the SYM line in that story. Huh? And here it is. For those of you who don't know, S, and these are capital letters, SYM, is a shortened form of a 3-word slur that ends with mother. They certainly tried. Yeah, they tried. But for my senior citizens, senior listeners, elders, just think of it. The Jamaican slur that I would like to use about your mother. That's what SYM, yeah, stands for. Well, the councillor in question, Mario Mitchell, has apologized and has sought to distance himself from the comments on his account. Yeah, in a statement posted to the account last night, yes, following the Nationwide story, yeah, Councillor Mitchell said he recently became aware of the deeply inappropriate posts and takes full responsibility for them. Councillor Mitchell said they were posted by a member of his team without his review or approval. The individual, he says, has been suspended and steps are being taken to prevent a recurrence. Councillor Mitchell says he unreservedly apologizes to all who were offended. He says the comments do not reflect his values, principles, or professional standards. Yeah? Checks on Mr. Mitchell's account earlier on Tuesday show that the latest post, running on me and think I'm going to stay quiet, you have next guest coming. My freedom of speech right will ensure you get a healthy and hearty SYM has been deleted. The original post, a photo of the paved road with the caption "New Road Number 14 since elected," has also been deleted. However, the derogatory responses to specific users are still listed under the Replies tab. Yeah. Time for the break.
We carried that story yesterday in our 5 p.m. bulletin, but a lot of you would have been interacting with the content from perhaps Sunday. So the derogatory tweets made to Belfield Councillor Mario Mitchell's ex-account, I think, George, they are a reminder of how important it is for all politicians, everybody in general, to be very keen stewards of their social media accounts. The people who you represent, and by extension, the rest of us, do not see your handlers and team members when posts are made to your social media. We see you. And when there are disrespectful engagements with your accounts and Jamaicans online, it isn't your team members and your handlers who are disrespecting them. It's you.
Yes.
Understandably, many who interacted with the account believe they're interacting with the political representative. When I speak to you, George, I think that George is responding to me.
Yes.
When I interact with a politician's account, I think many a times that the politician is interacting with me. Not speaking of, for example, the prime minister or the opposition leader. In many instances on those accounts, most people believe that they are handlers.
Yes.
But other politicians on the lower scale, we believe that the politicians themselves are interacting with us. And understandably, sensibilities were disturbed Saturday when the account posted at 9:14 Saturday night a photo of a freshly paved roadway with the caption "New Road Number 14 since elected." And the sensibilities of those who faced the distasteful and offensive comments and others who began interacting with the posts, they were sharing it, they were talking about it, and folks asked what were, to my mind, George, reasonable questions in relation to the roads, including inquiries about the absence of drains and asphalt layering. What would have been reasonably expected from the handlers was to bring it to the attention of the council and begin a respectful interaction or dialogue. Instead, what persons got were laughing emojis, And utterances such as, check your mom. Like her, they run deep and wide, and to everyone. And another said, running on me and think I'm going to stay quiet. You have a next guest coming. My freedom of speech, right, will ensure you get a healthy and hearty SYM. A lot of people out there know what SYM stands for in modern day. I won't repeat what it says here. But as we reported in our newscast yesterday, it's a shortened form of a 3-word slur that ends with mother, for Jamaicans using patois, mother. And all weekend, this was left to fester, and it was apparently after our report yesterday in our major newscast, George, that Councillor Mitchell got wind of what was happening on his X account. Now, he issued, for me, a welcomed apology that captures sincerity. And it said, I recently became aware of deeply inappropriate responses posted from my social media account. These posts were made by a member of my team without my review or approval. I take full responsibility for the content shared in my name. The individual involved has been suspended, and I'm reviewing internal protocols to ensure this does not happen again. I unreservedly apologize to all who were offended. The remarks do not reflect my values, my principles, or the professional standards I strive to uphold. Respectful dialogue, especially in the public space, must remain a priority. Thank you for holding me accountable. A fitting way, I believe, to address what was most unfortunate on his account for about 3 days. And you all will have to make of that apology what you will. Mitchell, like other political representatives, must always be mindful of how they'll be perceived and protect their office and name vigorously. Political representatives are the standard bearers, and every post made is being scrutinized, and some people, even after apologies and apologia, hold grudges. So it must be the aim to get it right with citizens and guard your office. Finally, I do expect now, George, that Councillor Mitchell will appear in his own capacity this time on X and engage with those who had asked reasonable questions about the latest work in his constituency. It would be another sign of repairing the damage done by his team member, who he says has now been suspended.
Well, I can tell you that when I read the tweets, well, I almost said I'm going to be honest. I always am in
Yes.
this chair. But when I read the tweets, first, 2 things came to my mind. One, I thought that whoever posted them was female.
Mm-hmm.
Based on how the thoughts were expressed, it came like it appeared as if it came from the mind of a very sharp female. That's one. So I had my doubts about whether he posted them or not.
Yes.
And then 2, the quality of the retorts from the Mitchell X account. I thought that, this is Mario Mitchell, because they were sharper than I thought his capacity would enable him to do.
Mm-hmm.
If you understand what I'm saying.
Mhm.
Yeah? So I was, Mr. Mitchell, there's a side of you I from your public utterances that I didn't capture. Because I'm saying this is... So I read, but there was a lingering thing in my mind that, no, man, this is not him. Because, again, the sharpness of the retort, that's not the standard I get from him when I watch him in the Manchester Municipal Corporation.
Yes.
And it just seemed to me like something a waspish female would say, to tell the truth.
Yeah, when I read them as well, I had my questions too about whether he had posted these. And that's why it was important for us yesterday to call so many times to Councillor Mitchell to find out from him what exactly happened here. What is going on your account? You know, aren't you aware of these tweets made to X from Saturday night, Saturday, Sunday,
Yes.
all of Monday? Have you not seen what is happening on your social media?
And what is easy for the leaders, the generals of both parties to do? And when I talk about generals, I'm talking about secretaries, CEOs of the party, the men who run the party day in, day out, all aspects of it, is that discipline must be maintained on both sides. And we've seen things that can caused the campaign so far to fall into disequilibrium. Once you go the route of disequilibrium, then there's no turning back. It's going to devolve into worse. And the general secretaries, I believe, have a very, very important role to play right now. If this campaign, you remember a few weeks ago, we were saying, I think Dr. Spence was here and Jermaine Barrett, and we were saying if they were not impressed by how the campaign had started to take shape without any fear of the violence that we have been known for in the past.
And then she came back, that's Dr. Spence, maybe about 2 weeks after that, and then said she's a little bit nervous though.
She said she was nervous, right? But we've seen some things in recent time that, you know, are threatening to take us over the edge. Again, I'm using the term disequilibrium, which is what you don't want in a political campaign. So the general secretaries have to keep a tight rein on the discipline and ensure that whether first person or third person or other person, no person speaks out of turn representing the parties. Yeah.
Indeed.